Hey guys, welcome back to
What's
the
goody?
Word. It's Kiro.
It's Naomi. What's goody, everybody?
And what we talking about today?
Today we are talking about knowing your worth and believing in your worth.
Now I'm just gonna say a beautiful prayer. Y'all watch, listen. Okay, bow your heads.
All right. Lord, thank you for this time to give us. Thank you for allowing us to be here. I pray, Father God, that all goes forth according to your will. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I said a prayer, did I not?
I was expecting something more monumental.
Oh, yeah, dog. We ain't got time for monumental. We don't have time for monumental. We have to do what we have to do.
Okay, so you said we're talking about knowing your worth.
Yes, knowing your worth and standing in your value of worth.
Okay.
Right? So the story that we brought up earlier was Moses. We were talking about how if you look at that man's like whole life story, how it tracks out, how it checks out, whole thing started with the king that was there at the time. He was like, yo, dude's gotta go. Israelites getting a little too strong in these streets. Out of here. So he like made a decree of like all, he told the midwives, well, you're helping the people of Israel, have their babies, kill the dudes.
Okay.
Girls here, dudes gotta go. And after that, the midwives were like, oh, they feared God, so they didn't do it. And then the king was like, yo, why I still see little babies running around here?
Yeah, right.
And they was like, oh, man, they not like, the Egyptian women. They be having them before we get there. And dude was like, that makes sense. Yeah. Okay, so new plan. All new baby boy rivers get thrown to the river.
Okay.
Problem solved. So Moses' mom, fast forward, she has a baby. And she held him for like 3 months, tried to hide him back or whatever. And, she couldn't hide him forever. He's a whole kid. So she made a basket, made it waterproof, all that good stuff, put baby in basket, sent him down like the Nile. Cool beans. So his older sister was like watching. She's like, what's going to happen? Like, where you going? And he happens to, God ordained, whatever, happens to go to the palace, like where the people are. And the king's daughter finds him. And the little girl's like, oh. She was like, the girl's like, oh, I'm so much the Israelite babies. Like, dang. And so his sister is like, oh, do you want me to, like, go find a Hebrew woman to nurse him while, he's there and then, give him back to you when it's done.
Right.
And that was when she was like, you know what? Yeah, and I'll pay her wages for that. Little good some mama. She was like, hey, jobs. So basically, mom keeps Moses, raises him to the age of nursing. Not really sure how far that is, but I know it's got to be at least like the first year of life if they're nursing, like,
Right.
and like doing like developing work. So after that, the princess officially adopts him. He becomes, royal, all that good stuff. Continuing forward, he's older. He's riding around the palace, I guess, his brothers or whatever, whoever, and he sees his Egyptian man beating this Israelite, and dude like looks around. He's like, okay. He goes and kills homie and hides his body in the sand. I promise all this has a point to the story. So after that, next day comes out, he sees these two fighting each other, and they're like, yo, he's like, yo, you should be fighting each other, like, relax. You ain't gotta do all that. And the dude being smart butt was like, oh, so now you're a prince and a judge. Is that what you said yesterday when you killed homie? And Moses was like, oh, I gotta go. I gotta go. He was like, oh, snap. Everybody knows what I did. They gonna want me out of here. And he was right. The king at the time was like, when he found out, he was like, oh, yeah, awful.
Yeah.
So he ran. I forget where he ran. We'll drop the story. But anyway, he ran there. He, meets, he's at a well and these women come up, blah, 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 blah. Whole story gets to he ends up finding this man. He finds his wife. The man gives him his wife, which back then, we're going to talk about that in another episode. They was just giving girls people like crazy. That's crazy.
Indeed.
Anyway, he watered, their father's flock and their cattle. And he was like, man, bring them back. And after some time, he's like, you know what? I'm going to give you my daughter. Here you go. Marriage. So one day Moses is out tending to his father-in-law's flock, and a bush is on fire. And he's like, oh, that's wild. Because the bush is on fire, but it's not burning.
Right.
So, of course, as any human, we like, I'm going to see that.
Yeah.
He goes to walk, and God's like, hey, whoa. Take off your shoes. This is holy ground. He walks up. He goes to the bush, and God basically tells him, hey, I hear my people's crying. I hear the Israelites. I hear the bondage. I see it. I hear it. I'm going to use you to get him out of there. And Moses' response was, but who am I? And God was like, okay, yeah, but like, I'm going to use you. And God was like, but why?
Yeah.
Like, am I worthy?
Yeah.
Why would they believe me? Why would I follow? And God, we'll drop the story, like I said, but further and further, like, Moses is giving more and more reasons to, like, fight back. He's like, okay, Lord, but like, what about this? And God's like, I got it. And he's like, well, you know what? I'm not a good speaker. And God's like, Moses, I'm trying to tell you what I got
He said,
for you, brother.
I'm really not good with my words, though.
And that's what he said. He was like, yo, you know I'm not good at speaking. He was like, oh, look, there goes your brother Aaron. He's good at speaking. So you're going to go. I'm going to talk through you. You're going to talk to him. And Moses is like, all right. But like, what makes you believe they're going to believe me? He's like, Moses. So he's like, all right, bro, the stick you got in your hand, yeah, throw it to the ground. Comes to a snake.
Also, the grace that God has.
The grace that God has. Because this had to be a long conversation. And God's like, I done already chose you. Shut up. Do what I told you to do. But anywho, though, so dude, he's like, throw your stick to the ground. Pick your stick back up by the tail. Turns back from a snake into a staff. He's like, all right. God was like, but because I know my people, if they don't believe that one, pull this one. Put your hand inside your little jacket. Take it back out. Dude had leprosy. Hand was all white. Moses like, out of pocket.
Yeah.
God's okay. Put it back in there. Brings it out like the rest of his body. He's like, but because I know them again, we're going to do you one more sign. Basically, you're going to go in. You're going to get water from the Nile. You're going to dump it on the ground. It's going to turn to blood. Yeah. Wow. They're going to believe it. I know it.
Magic.
It's going to happen. And Moses after that is like, okay, okay. And you can still tell he's like hesitant. And the same way, all this came from, I might as well tell the story we hear now. All this came from the Maverick City concert.
Oh, yeah.
All of this came, I'm going to tell you why I got to Moses, all this stuff. All this came from the Maverick City concert.
Tell him, when did you go? Like a few weeks ago?
It was like 2 weeks ago.
Okay, yeah. You went for your birthday?
Yeah, it was my birthday gift to myself.
A big 2-5.
Okay. Any hoodles. Sorry, guys. So I went to the Maverick City concert, right? Mind you, freaking amazing. If you get the chance to go, go. But any hoodle. We went and we got to the song where we were singing Jireh. And it was like, and I will be content in every circumstance. You are Jireh, you're enough. Now, I'm singing my little chest out. I mean, can't tell me a darn thing. And in the middle of that song, God's like, but why are you content? And I said, because you say to be content. Yeah. I don't really know what you mean, bro.
And she was telling me about the story. I was like, well, I thought God wanted us to be content in all situations. Like, I'm not understanding.
You see what I'm saying? I was confuzzled. I was like, he was like, I was like, Lord, you do what you say to be content. I'm content. I'm chilling. I know you're going to do what you're going to do.
Exactly.
And he was like, but do you think that I'm going to do it? Preface to that, God has been telling me a whole lot about my future here lately and things I'm going to do. And with the podcast, separate entities, all that good stuff. And he was like, do you think I'm going to do it? And I said, God, I know you can. And he was like, I didn't ask if you know I could. What I said was, do you think I can?
Or think he will?
Do you think he will? And I said, well, yeah, I'm not questioning you. He said, you're right. You're not questioning me. You're questioning your worth in me. And then he stopped talking.
Yeah.
Rest of the concert.
And he wasn't really asking you if you thought that.
Exactly. He was asking me, do I feel like am I worthy? Do I feel like I'm worthy enough for him to do it? Bro, mind you, this is mid-concert, might I add. So everybody else is singing it hard. They finishing the songs, and I'm like, no, but Jesus, wait.
So it was less about being content and more about you and your worth.
Yeah, so it was less about being me being content, but why I was content.
Yeah, I just didn't want anybody to think that. Still be content.
No, still be content for sure. That wasn't
the point.
That's not what he was saying.
Yeah.
When he was saying, why am I content? It was because I was content because it was like, if this don't happen for me, it's all right. Because I really, the whole worth thing. And God was like, all right, mind you, whole rest of the concert, me and my spirit here battling.
Yeah, it was more about your belief.
It was more about belief. And everybody else is they singing and worshiping, and I'm trying to get into it. I'm like, yeah. No, Jesus, but wait, what did you mean by that? I'm back and forth. I was the driver for this event.
Right.
So after that, everybody wants to take pictures. They want to flick it up. And I'm like...
How many people came with you again?
3.
Okay.
And so I'm in the car and I'm taking pictures and you can low-key tell on my face picture. I'm like, okay, I got a conversation I need to have. Yep, so they all parked at one house. So I drove them, everybody back home. As soon as their doors closed, God said, okay, you ready? And I went...
Can I get home?
I was ready when we were at the concert. You stopped talking to me. He was like, enjoy your time. I was fighting. I was fighting for real that thing.
Sounds like it.
Bro, but anywho, though, so I'm driving home and God's talking to me about it. And he was just like, yo, my grace is sufficient. And I was like, okay, I know that, Lord. I know your grace is sufficient. He said, yeah, no, but I've called you to do so many things. I've showed you so many things of your future, so many things of your purpose. But yet you don't believe that you're worthy to do it. Why? And I was like, Lord, I'm not questioning you or nothing. Because, you God, you do what you do, brother.
Right.
I just feel like, I've given you 1,017 reasons not to really choose me to do these things. I haven't really done much. Don't get me wrong. I'm not here tripping in life. I'm doing good. I'm not tripping. But it was I've given you 1,017 reasons not to, and the things that you're calling me to do, I ain't gonna lie, they seem rather big.
Yeah.
And I'm me.
Yeah.
And God was like, yeah, but you're predestined. We reading that in Ephesians 1 not long ago. God predestined your purpose and your will for you as he was in the creation of you. And when I was like, okay, God, I'm trying to figure it out, because God was really talking to me about it. He was like, bro, when I created you, I already had your purpose and your promise in mind. So if I'm telling you, there's nothing that we can do to be worthy. There's nothing that we can do to make us worthy of God's calling. We're worthy because God says that we're adopted into his family, meaning if his name holds weight, because we're his, we hold weight.
Right.
And so when he was talking about that with me, he was like, you have to believe that you truly do hold the value and the worth that I've placed inside of you. There's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can fix. There's nothing you can't do to have that worth. It's God places from you in the beginning, which is how we got to Moses. Because I was reading the Bible and I was like, all right, Lord, I'm going to need a person because I'm really trying to figure it out. And he led me to Moses, and he brought it all full circle. Moses' life events were predestined by God. Like the whole thing with the Pharaoh and the whole thing with the Nile and him being in the basket, him being found by the princess, his sister bringing his mom in, him growing up, him killing a whole person.
Yep. Yeah.
Him killing a whole person, running away. All for that to be the defining moment of when God said, all right, but I've called you. And he's like, I don't know if I'm like, he's like, but why me? And God's like, but it was already predestined.
Right.
Like all those things that happen in our life, things that happen, things that get us there. The worth was inside of Moses before any of this happened.
Right.
The worth was inside of Moses in his creation. Because God says he creates us according to his perfect will. Meaning everything he's already created about you. Everything he knows about you, everything that he's already called for your life is already done. And we as people have to learn to stand in that value. And not like in a cocky way of like, oh, I'm this, I'm that. Right. But in a way of because of who our Father is, right? If he gives us this purpose, he gives us this will, we have to believe that we're worth enough to stand in it, because he wouldn't have given it to us if he didn't feel that way.
Right.
So it's like you have to learn, we as people, because it's so easy, like feel like you're not worthy. It's so easy to feel like, okay, God, that's a really big calling. I was real cool with this.
Yeah, I think something that a lot of people do is they end up self-sabotaging as well.
And it's so easy, it's so sabotage.
Kind of like, and you're going to love me for bringing this up, but because I know where this man to go.
Yes, sir.
The book of Jonah.
It's a beautiful story. It's my favorite story in the Bible.
Something's wrong with you.
Yeah.
But like kind of like how he ran away originally.
My man ran.
I mean,
Jesus said, go left. He said, right.
I'm gotta go running, sprinting.
That was literally him. Bro, meanwhile, God's like,
you gonna
do it.
Yeah, you're gonna do it regardless.
Because I've already called you to do it. Like
now I gotta call a fish to eat you.
Now you gotta get eaten by a whale. We could have did this the easy way. But it also shows God's grace, though, because that is a very big part of like self-sabotaging and trying to find your worth and necessarily knowing where you stand in it. Is God has so much grace for us in those moments because he knows that we're people, and he knows that it's so easy for us to feel like that seemed like a whole lot for little old me.
Yeah.
And God's like, yeah, but little old you ain't little old you.
Yeah.
You see yourself that way. I see you as something far greater.
Right.
Like he says, everything on this earth is here for a purpose. Meaning if the same God that did the Grand Canyon, the same God that made trees, to put air, that did all these beautiful things, if all those have purpose and he took his time to meticulously put you together and make you have a great purpose.
Absolutely.
But we have to envision that. Like you said, it's easy to self-sabotage. Like Moses was like, man, that sounds great. You want me to lead my people out of bondage. I don't know if you seen the bondage. And God's like, yeah, but I already called you. Like, it's all inside of you. Like, I already placed that in you. Yeah. He's like, that's crazy because I can't speak. And God's like, no, what God said was, who gives people a voice to speak?
Yes.
Who gives people the ear to hear? Who allows people to be blind and not blind? Who opens the eyes? Who closes the mouth? Is it not me? He was like, Moses was like, oh, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it is.
So even if he didn't have, like, the best speaking voice.
Oh, we feel like we're not capable of.
Yeah, but you don't even know who the message is for. Somebody gonna hear you clearly.
And that's the thing about it, though. Like when he says, that's why he says, who opens your ears? Who closes your mouth?
Right.
Like the same way, like you said, we self-sabotage. We're like, yo, I don't know if I can do that. But God's like, But who are you to say what you can do? And I know what you can do. And it's like, if I'm telling you that I'm the person that does all these things, baby, you can get on stage. I can take every bit of that away from you. I have told Kia many times, the very first time I ever spoke publicly, please understand it was a crap show.
Yeah.
My paper I was holding wet. Podium shaking. Because I'm like, I'm not very good in front of people. I like to be chill. But then when God gave me the calling that he's giving me, like he's talking to me recently about it, I was like, Lord, I don't know if you saw the first time I did it, but did you not remember the podium shaking? The paper I was holding was wet, brother. That, you sure? And he was like, yeah, but even then, when you started speaking what happened, I was like, oh man, I said it.
Oh yeah, and everybody was so proud of her at the end of it.
Everybody was so, everybody was like, oh my gosh. And I'm like, my heart is in my butt. Like, everybody's like, oh my gosh. Like, they talked about it for weeks. You did so great. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And I was like, wow. Like, it was one of those moments where, like, it set in.
Yeah.
And it was like, that was one of the first times I really felt, like, accomplished by it.
Yeah.
But
God, you felt like you did horribly.
Oh,
but everybody was like, oh my gosh, you did amazing.
I thought I did fair. Like, I was like, man, people, they're going to be nice to me and say, oh, baby, you tried. That's what I thought was coming.
Right.
I was like, oh my gosh, that was great. Everybody talking to my mom about it. And I'm like, so, but God brought me back to that scripture of who opens and closes your mouth, because whereas I thought it was horrible. God allowed my mouth to be open in a way that I didn't hear, but everybody else heard it. In the same way, like when we talk about our worth and our value, God calls us for these things. And even though we may not see it, God's the person that controls all that for us. So like, I'm getting more comfortable speaking publicly, but there was once upon a time that I wouldn't be able to stand in front of people and talk. Doing this would have bothered me in a way I'll never be able to explain.
Well, I don't necessarily do public speaking either.
Welcome. But
I mean, I skipped the whole class of college too.
Man, I was in that class.
Yeah, I refused to.
God knew his child. There was 6 of us in there.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I said, all right.
Even my mom said when she had to take public speaking, she took it during the summer so it wouldn't be that many kids in the classroom.
Because this girl's crazy.
Yeah.
But I will say, like, going back to the point of like knowing your value and knowing your worth, and God having grace in those moments. Like I said, I thought I did absolutely terrible.
Right.
The same way that Moses was like, yo, I can't speak. But God has so much grace in those moments when we're trying to find ourselves and go through our worth. So, like, if you're in that same season of trying to figure out your worth, you're trying to figure out what's going on, don't let the enemy trick you into thinking, like, oh, you don't know your value, you can't do nothing. Because God, his grace is sufficient, meaning that, like, his grace is going to do it. Where he knows that we're trying to figure out, he knows your heart, he knows who you are.
And the devil's going to take advantage of you in those moments.
Every time. But it's like, God knows his bigger picture for you. But he also knows that it takes time and character development to get there. And so while you're going through it and you're figuring it out, you're trying to figure out your worth and where you stand and what happens, like, remember that the same God who, like, gave you those visions and those dreams is the same God's going to carry you through it because he gave you that worth. Like, he knows your full potential. We don't know it all the time.
No.
But once you start walking in it, you gain this, like, this confidence almost. But one of the dudes at my church calls it Godfidence.
Godfidence.
Because it ain't. Neither have I told Brandon. But he calls it Godfidence. Because you're walking, you really are walking in full confidence of God. Like, it's not you. When you're walking in your worth and your value, you're not walking in you. You're walking in, I know who my Father is. I know the worth that he gave me. I know the weight that he holds.
Right.
So because he holds that weight, and he says that I'm a part of him, and I made in his image, I'll hold weight.
Right.
Meaning I'm going to walk in everything that he has for me with open heart and generosity, waiting for it to come. Because I know that that's what he's called me to do.
Yep. Got to have those conversations with God as well. So
You really do, though, because it is so easy to feel overwhelmed, especially if God's called you to do something that's outside of your comfort zone.
Which he will likely do.
Well, I mean, let me tell you, because this is not what I thought I was doing with my life.
I mean, okay.
I'm ever so thankful this is what we're doing with our lives now.
For sure.
But if you would have asked me, I don't know, 2 years ago, this was not in the plans.
Yeah.
But I'm thankful that it is, because God all along is like, and we talked about this before, both of us are educators. I don't think either one of us really wanted to be educators.
No. That wasn't the original plan.
It was what I knew I was good at.
Yeah.
And people told me all my life, this is what you're so good at, do this. And I was like, well, I am good with kids. I do this. And it was like, I knew that God called me to do something else, but I didn't know what it was. So it was like, well, I'm going to go into education because I am really good at it. And I do love my job. Like, I love my kids. I love what I do. But when God starts transitioning you into this purpose, it doesn't take the joy out of that, but it's like, wow, no, I'm ready to do what that is now.
Yeah.
Because your heart posture has changed.
Yeah, and a lot of the times when he calls you to do something else, he'll make you highly uncomfortable where you at.
Let me tell
Look, don't get too.
I can't.
Don't
I
get
can't
too deep.
say. I can't get too deep. I'm still there.
I've left.
She has left. God will make you uncomfortable in a situation because he doesn't want you to get so content that you stay.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why when he says, like, you know, being content in every circumstance, he doesn't want you to become complacent in your contentment. Like, when you content in something, you're waiting for God to do it, you're still actively working towards what is happening, or actively praying, or actively fasting, or working in your best amount of what you can do and what your job is now. So as you're waiting for God to do it, you're staying. It's not like, oh, man, well, he ain't did it yet. I'm going to be content. Maybe I'll just stay here for X, Y, Z amount of time. And God's like, no, baby, because you still gonna move. Let me just rustle some feathers because you tripping.
I feel like that's another reason why he moved me before moving you, because I was just like, okay, well, he obviously not gonna do it, so I'm just gonna just chill out.
He was like,
let me move her.
Let me move her because she acting out. But that's okay though, because again, it all turns back to things that God knows about us and His grace about us. Like He knows you may need a little extra oomph.
Yeah.
And He gave you an extra oomph.
Sure did.
He knows that I need to be made uncomfortable in situations because I'm the kind of person, if I'm comfortable, I don't say I get complacent, but I just be like, okay, like this is what I'm doing right now. Like I'm cool with it. But He's also made me realize, because when He told me, you know, he told us before, when He says move, we move. Yeah. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. We move when He says move. So when He tells me to move up out of there, I have to be obedient.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know when that is.
I'm ready to go tomorrow. Today.
Honestly, if He says he ain't got to finish move. But I say that and all to say, I don't know when He's going to tell me to move. But I know that when He says move, I have to be obedient. And because I know me, and if I was super complacent and super content in my job and I wasn't uncomfortable in certain aspects, when He said move, it'd be like, is it you talking to me, or because my kitty's over there?
Yeah. That's probably why He didn't do this like last year.
Oh, bro, because last year we were having the time of our lives. we were coaching just last year. Time of our lives. Let me tell you something. It was a great time.
We had stuff to like work towards.
And we did. So. But I think that's why God does what He does, though, because He also solidified our friendship last year.
Yeah, I was gonna say we needed to get to know each other better
because
as well. So.
We knew of each other.
Yeah.
But definitely didn't know each other.
Yeah, working together definitely helped.
It did. We learned a lot about each other, our own selves, how we deal with each other. We've learned a lot of things. But again, all that goes back to all of our paths are predestined.
Yeah.
He knew we needed to finish crossing our paths. We needed to work where we need to work together. Yep. Like all of these things are coming into play with what is to come for us, separately and together. Yeah. Because we have our own things that we do too. I'm excited.
For sure. Y'all, I have moved.
Away from me.
Yes. And not like a little distance.
No, like
I've moved.
Like, we not the same city. Like there are several cities.
Yeah, we in the same state. We're not in the same city.
And that state was.
I'm more closer to Virginia than I.
That's what I'm saying. Like you low key could throw a rock and hit Virginia. Our states have definitely shifted. Yeah. So now this is definitely a process of like.
We are definitely navigating our friendship apart.
We are
I mean, you can go into it.
I wasn't gonna go into it, bro. But we really are navigating our friendship apart. So my birthday was recently.
Yes.
And wow,
I'm sorry.
It was the immense attitude that just came with it.
It's not that. Okay, look, I wasn't able to attend her birthday because of all the move and just money wasn't right. I was trying to figure things out.
Mind you, I wasn't upset about it. Let's start there.
I knew that she wanted me to come because you had already told me. You sat me in my living room and was like, "Hey,
I want you here."
Yes, if you don't come, I'm gonna be upset. And I was like, F word.
Okay. F word. I can't. Bro, but I was like, okay, but you also knew I was like, okay.
I know.
But when the time came, you knew I was not, but you told me you were gonna make it. I low-key already knew you weren't gonna make it. So I was like, okay, cool. Like, and I guess I didn't respond how I should have responded.
I don't think you responded at all.
I didn't.
Yeah, and that's
No, I think I liked it.
Okay, yeah, that.
I think I liked it. Mind you, let's preface this. This was the week of my birthday. It was also Jiho. Yeah. Meaning your girl was busy. So like I saw it and I liked it and I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. Like I ain't think nothing of that.
Oh my gosh, she's mad at me. I've ruined our friendship. The podcast is done.
Mind you, I'm not thinking nothing like that. I said, okay, she can't make it. That's cool. Like, I understand. Didn't think nothing about that joint. This heifer, I think you texted me, a day later?
I think so.
If not that night.
Yeah.
Was like, hey, friend, you pushing me away. Is really not helping. I said, what?
Yeah, I was upset because also, like, where I moved to, it's just like, I have like 3 family members down there, and it's a really small town.
We really
so
had to work on communication.
it's nobody out there. I am bored. I felt like she was my only friend.
Bro, and I'm gonna be real. I did not call and text that much that week. I'm gonna be completely honest.
Yes, I said, oh my God, I have.
But in my defense, it was my birthday week.
I understand.
And Jiho, so literally when I say y'all, I was busy almost every single night, every single day, because Jiho is a big thing around Greensboro, North Carolina, and around surrounding places. Jiho was a really big thing.
And I knew this, but in my head, she kept telling me that she ain't had no other friends or nobody to talk to. So in my head,
I didn't have close friends that were like, I didn't have a whole lot of.
Now we're switching it up.
No.
That's not what was said.
Okay, I did say I don't have a whole lot of friends, because I don't. But the friends that I do have,
they came out of hiding.
They made it an effort for Jiho, especially because my birthday was actually on Jiho.
Right.
So a lot of us, we were doing stuff during the week because all of us knew come that Saturday.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, that is the day that God graced us with my presence.
Right.
Jiho. So, and I knew my friends were not going to give a day Jiho.
Yeah.
And honestly, I was enjoying Jiho, so I wanted to enjoy it too. It was a great birthday.
Yeah.
I wanted to enjoy it, so I'm not going. So that whole week, like my friends had me like doing stuff here, doing stuff there. Let's go talk, or let's go chill, or let's go. So my phone, and I've been accused of this before, that I'm getting better with my responding to people. I am not the best always with responding to text messages, because in my mind I'm like, okay, I see you, I'll respond. 2 days later, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna respond.
Yeah.
I don't respond.
Yes.
And I'm working on that though. But that whole time, first of all, she thought I was mad at her.
Yes.
And then she was mad at me. And then I was like, bro, what'd I do?
I was like, bro, you're neglecting me.
Bro, and I'm like, what? But she said y'all, I want y'all to know, she said I was neglecting her.
Yes.
She said it with an attitude.
Yes.
Because it was, I just feel like I'm being neglected. I said, oh, what do you mean? No, it's fine. Good night. Helpful? Y'all, I got certain triggers. And don't cut me off for the problem. You started. Go tell me good night.
It's because I wanted you to know how I felt, but I also didn't want to talk about it at the same time. Because it was kind of late at night too. So
and I was
like,
solely finna go. Yeah, let me tell you something. And I had to call my other best friend.
Okay, Michaela.
I said, Michaela, she about to find out. Michaela said, no. I said, no. This is what we want to do. Let's do it. Because my mouth can be reckless.
Yeah, she has like an anger thing.
I'm working on it. And I know my friend is sensitive. And I know that. Because so when I say I called Michaela, I was like, Michaela, because the text messages I have drafted, it's going to mess some things up. So I'm going to take it back.
Yeah.
But I want you to see so you understand my feelings. So I was like, Michaela, she did. She talked me off the rail because I was hot. Yeah. I have a thing about, and people know that about me that know me, I have different triggers, bro.
But see, I didn't know that it was like that bad.
You didn't. We learned.
Because I don't think we ever had that discussion.
We've never had that discussion. But I also like we never had to.
Yeah, right.
But when we don't dare the conversation that you started and you got a problem with me and I can't even come fix my problem. But anywho though, that next morning I sent her a different message that I thought out very carefully. Yes. And I made sure it was not.
It was nice.
I did my. Well,
it was nice-ish.
I didn't think it was mean.
It wasn't. It was just.
I was like, I really did my best. Like I had to pray to Jesus. After I got to Michaela, I said, all right, God, I know your child. You know what? And Jesus had to tell me she's down there by herself. Yep. She's going through emotions. She's figuring it out.
God ain't gave me no money yet.
Because when I said it's been a week, it's been a week.
But see, no, because in my head it's been 2 months.
Mind you, it had been 5 days. 5 days. And this in her mind.
I'm like, and you know I can't come down there because I didn't want to go, because I didn't have enough money to be back and forth to Greensboro, because I knew I had to come back here for this. And your birthday was last week.
It was.
And then Thanksgiving, I don't know what I'm going to be. It's just too much back and forth.
But that's why
my funds don't call for back and forth.
Look, as God worked with me, I stalled you out. Because I ain't gonna lie.
I mean, I know you was hot.
Baby. I said, oh, my friend is sensitive. I can't even talk to her like I want to talk to her. Because I know you sensitive. And you would have cried. Yep. Then it would have been, I just feel like. And that
would have made it worse.
It would have. It would have made it worse. And I know me. Because you know how I am with emotions. Yep. It literally would have been okay, like, are you done?
Yeah.
So we can talk about what we need to talk about. I'm not the person that's like, oh,
Like, she's not gonna baby me.
No, I'm not. Like,
Not if I have a problem with you.
Yeah, if you have a problem with me, I'm not baby you.
Yeah.
I will baby her any other time. I'm friend. It's okay. Let's cry it out. Let's talk it out. But if it's with me, I'm not babying Jack. Like, let's have a conversation about it. Let's move forward. I don't do the whole we word and hearing it and then you crying. I'm like, bro, now I gotta seem emotional because I'm like, oh, friend, suck it up so we can talk. That's how I am, though. I'm working on that because I didn't do that.
No, you did very well.
I tried to like validate your feelings.
You handled me well.
Thanks, because Jesus.
Yeah.
And not to say that I was gonna come off disrespectful or nothing.
No,
but know.
I also feel like our friendship is like one where I'm gonna say what's on my mind and you can say what's on yours, but also like to an extent. Though.
I gotta add sugar to mine.
Yeah,
I can't just go off rip with mine with you because. And don't get me wrong. That's not to say I won't tell her how I feel because I very much will.
No, yeah. But you know when how much sugar to add.
I know how much sugar to add in that situation because again, I'm a very blunt person. And if I like feel that way, it's gonna be, yo, what's your problem? Let's talk about it.
I think in the beginning of our friendship, I literally was like, hey, if we ever have like serious conversations, I'm a type of person, I'm gonna need you to sugarcoat it for me. Otherwise, I'm gonna cry.
And cry, she does. And cry, and I'm not mad at that because I know my friend.
Because I'm not gonna receive it. I would hate for you to be blunt with me and I don't receive it.
She's not gonna hear nothing because she's gonna be crying too hard. And it's gonna be. And then I'm gonna get irritated because I'm like, stop crying so I can talk to you. Because I know me. And I know that. And that's not to say I'm not an inconsistent person because I'm a very, 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 like, people tell me multiple times, I know.
The battery
is dying.
Yes.
It's always dying.
I know.
Right when we get the good moments.
I know.
It's okay. Do we have enough time to have my finishing question?
What's your question?
Bro, remember the prayer thing I was talking about? I genuinely want to ask people that question.
What?
Yo, so y'all ever been like at a group sitting, right? And they pick up that one person to say grace for everybody to go to eat? Do you say your own grace after that? Because I recently went to an event that happened.
Comment below.
Because I recently went to an event where the one person prayed over everybody. Everybody got their food.
Yep.
Me and the girl beside me immediately went.
Do you pray after the group prayer?
Yeah, do you do your own prayer?
Comment below.
Prayer? Because I feel like everybody looked at us like we was funny, and I was like, no offense, but like, I don't know your relationship with Jesus.
Right. Well, then we'll see you on episode
9.
Dang, we almost there. We're gonna do something special for episode 10.
We are. But anywho, all right, y'all. We'll see y'all episode 9.
It's Kia Rose,
Naomi,
and we'll see y'all next time.
All right,
gang.